I remember we had a student a long time ago, a Chinese student. He was actually a chiropractor and he hated maps. So we taught him a method. We made him practice lots and lots of maps. He booked a test and of course he got a map question and he got a 7.5 for writing. So it really is important that you focus on maps and have a method that you follow. So I'm going to show you how to plan this map task, and we're going to offer you the full sample for it as well. So this is the new Cambridge 17, and this is task number 1. Now this is a tricky little map task. There's a lot happening here. So let's read the question. The maps below show an industrial area in the town of Norbiton and planned future development of the site. Now you can see here there are two maps. One now and one with the future development on it. I want you to realize that the changes here are in the future. They are planned or expected changes in the future. So it's not in the past. So when we write the task, we're going to be using what's called future forms. And I want you to look at our sample. Remember, try and get our sample and really look at how we describe projected changes in the future. There's a lot happening in this map and we have to cover everything. Now I'm going to go quite quickly and I'm going to plan this task and I'm going to show you how to plan this task. So if we have a look here, you can see I've put 3 boxes on the right. One is my overview, one is my first body paragraph, and one is my second body paragraph. And I've put numbers in there because that's the kind of amount of information or details I want to include. Whenever I start with a map, I always go with the overview first. What am I going to say generally? And the first thing I always ask myself, are there expected to be a lot of changes or not so many changes? And here I'm going to say dramatic changes. Yeah. I just look at the map quickly and I go, a lot of changes there. I'm going to say a lot of dramatic changes. Now, what are the changes more generally? So I would say here, there is going to be, right, or expected to be a complete transformation of the industrial area into, now when I look at it, it's moving from factories to housing. Yeah. So what I would call that is residential. Yeah. And I'm also going to call it a community area because there are facilities for the community, schools and stuff. And one more level of detail here, there's going to be more amenities added. They're like facilities and more transport infrastructure. Yeah, you know this. Yeah. So notice here my overview. Yeah, expected to be dramatic changes, expected to be a complete transformation of the industrial area into a new residential and community area, and amenities and more transport infrastructure are expected to be added. Now notice I've not mentioned specific things from the map because they are key details. We're only talking here about an overview. Okay, we want to see, can you describe the general overall changes? The second thing I have to do is now plan my body paragraphs. And the first thing I have to decide is how am I going to divide my body paragraphs? Now, the tactic that I always use, and I always say this to people, is divide by area. And the reason for that is that if you divide by area, then you only look at certain areas for each body paragraph. When you look at the whole map, there's kind of too much information. But when we limit our view to certain smaller areas, it's much easier to describe what we see, especially under pressure in a test. Now, there's a few ways you can do it. You can look at north and south. You can look at east and west. Remember, they give you a little thing up here that tells you where north and south is if you're confused. But I'm going to do something slightly differently here. I'm going to look at north and south in one body paragraph. I'm going to look at like the river and above, and I'm going to look at this bottom road. So I'm going to look at the top and the bottom of the map. And in the second body, I'm going to look at the center of the area. Yeah. Now, just because there's a lot of information in the center and it's hard to sort of divide in the middle. So what am I going to say about the north and the south of the changes? So I'm going to start by talking about the north. Okay, the north, and I'm going to call that the former because that's the first one I mentioned. Now, what can we see in the very north of the map in terms of changes? Well, let's start with the farmland. So the farmland on the northern shore of the river, yeah. What's going to happen to it? Disappear. So the first thing I want to say is the farmland on the northern shore of the river is set to disappear. And what's going to happen to it? It's going to be converted into housing, okay? Converted into housing with a small section of farmland in the east. So this is going to become housing here with a smaller section in the east. Okay, so that's my second point. Now I'm going to talk about this new road. Yeah, there's a new road there, right? So road for housing installed. Where's it going? Between homes and river. So we've got a new road installed between the homes and the river. And I'm going to say connected, okay, connected by a bridge. So connected by new bridge to existing, where's the bridge going? Roundabout in the center, okay? So connected by a new bridge to the existing roundabout in the center. So that's all I'm really going to say there about the north. Okay, it's all I'm going to say about the north. Now I'm going to mention the south. So I'm going to call the south the latter. So in the latter, right at the bottom of the map. So I'm going to say here the road, this road is going to stay the same, but where this intersection is going to become a roundabout. So that's what I'm going to say. Road going east to west, stay the same, right? Stay the same. And the current T intersection is going to become roundabout. Roundabout. And it's going to give me access to the center. Okay, access to the center. So that is our paragraph there. Again, there's a lot of information. Yeah. Lots and lots and lots of information there. Now I'm going to look at the center of the map. And again, I'm going to do what I did in the first body. I'm going to divide that into two parts. I'm going to look at one side. I'm going to look at the east side. Then I'm going to look at the west side. And I'm going to try and maybe do three for both. So in the east. Now, when I look at the east, I see these 5 factories sitting around a road. So what's going to happen to those 5 factories? Yeah. Well, first of all, I'll say they're going to disappear. So 5 factories on the street off main roundabout. What's going to happen to them? Demolished. Okay, they're going to be demolished or disappear. So the 5 factories are going to disappear. Now, what else is going to happen in the east? Let's talk now about the medical center, playground, and school. Medical center, playground, and school. So I'll say there's going to be new medical center. Where's that going to be? South of road. Okay, new medical center south of the road. I'm going to say school at the end of the road. And I'm going to say, where's the playground? Playground north of road near river. So the playground is north of the road near the river. Now I'm going to mention the new housing here. See the new housing here? So I'll say housing, new housing, either side of road. Either side of road. There, that's all I'm going to say. Yeah. Housing, either side of the road. I'm not going to say much more than that. I've already said a lot. Now I'm going to talk about the West. So now again, I'm just looking at this area here. This area here. What's changed or what's expected to change here? So in the West, we're going to say 2 factories removed. So 2 factories have been removed north of the roundabout. These 2 here. Yeah. These 2 here. I'm going to say these have been removed north of roundabout. And I'm going to say replaced by homes. I'm going to say homes. See, there's new homes here. Yeah. New homes. Plus new street. There's a new street here. I want to mention this new street here. Heading northwest. So there's a new street installed heading northwest. I have to make a bit more room for you here, I think. Let me try and get this up. Oh, it's not really going further up, is it? So new street heading northwest. What I might just do here is make this a little smaller for you so you can see it. There we go. Now I'm going to say another factory is converted into shops. Yeah. Another factory here. Another factory is expected to be converted into shops. That's this one here. Now, where are the shops? I'll say opposite the medical center. Opposite the medical center. Okay. I'm going to say, lastly, I haven't mentioned the town border. Unchanged. And I'm not sure if I've mentioned the main roundabout as well. So I'm going to put that in. The town border and main central roundabout unchanged. So there you can see a lot of information, and I've done it quite quickly because in the test you're going to have to do that pretty fast. Yeah, you're going to have to do that pretty fast. Yeah. Okay, so that's the planning. That's the planning there. Maybe I'll write quickly an introduction for you. Okay, so if I go up here, let's see if I can write a introduction for you. I'm going to say the maps illustrate changes in an industrial complex. Whoops. In Norbiton after a proposed development. You can see my word is underlining. It doesn't recognize that as a normal word because it's the name of a place. So the maps illustrate changes in an industrial complex in Norbiton after a proposed development. Okay, so a lot going on here. So I hope that was useful to you. Again, there's a lot going on in that task, so don't freak out about it, right? Just slow down, go through it methodically.